The scorching sun blazed over the arid plains of northern Syria as two mighty empires prepared for war. Sultan Selim I, the stern and ambitious ruler of the Ottoman Empire, had marched his formidable army south, his eyes fixed on the rich lands of the Mamluk Sultanate. The Mamluks, proud masters of Egypt and Syria for centuries, stood defiant, their cavalry famed for their skill and bravery. But the world was changing, gunpowder and cannons now ruled the battlefield, and the Ottomans wielded these weapons with deadly precision. The road to war for years, tensions had simmered between the Ottomans and Mamluks. The Mamluks, once the dominant power of the Islamic world, had grown complacent, their military tactics frozen in time. Meanwhile, the Ottomans, fresh from crushing the Safavid Persians at Chaldiran, 1514, turned their gaze south. Sultan Selim, known as the Grim, was not a man to tolerate rivals. When the Mamluks gave refuge to rebellious Ottoman governors and hesitated to support Selim against the Safavids, war became inevitable. In early 1516, Selim mobilized his army, Janissaries with their muskets, elite Sipahi cavalry, and massive siege cannons. The Mamluks, led by Sultan al-Ashraf Kunsu al-Ghauri, an aging ruler more accustomed to courtly intrigue than warfare, scrambled to respond. The Battle of Marj Dabiq, August 1516, the two armies met near Marj Dabiq, north of Aleppo. The Mamluks, confident in their horsemanship, charged with gleaming swords and lances. But the Ottomans did not fight as they expected. Instead of clashing in a traditional cavalry duel, Selim's forces unleashed a storm of gunfire. The Janissaries, disciplined and deadly, formed ranks and fired volley after volley into the Mamluk ranks. The Mamluks, trained for medieval combat, were unprepared for this new warfare. Their charges broke against the Ottoman lines, and their famed cavalry was cut down. Worse yet, Kher Bey, the Mamluk governor of Aleppo, had secretly betrayed his sultan, withdrawing his forces at the critical moment. Sultan al-Ashraf Kunsu al-Ghauri, realizing the battle was lost, died of a stroke, or perhaps was killed, on the battlefield. With their leader gone, the Mamluk army collapsed. Syria fell swiftly to the Ottomans as city after city surrendered. Selim, now master of Damascus, prepared for the final prize, Egypt. The Battle of Ridania, January 1517. The new Mamluk Sultan, Tuman Bay II, a brave but inexperienced leader, rallied what forces remained. Knowing the Ottomans would march on Cairo, he fortified the city and set up defenses at Ridania, just outside its walls. Unlike his predecessor, Tuman Bey understood the power of firearms and even attempted to use cannons, but his troops lacked the discipline of the Janissaries. Selim, ever the strategist, did not attack head-on. Instead, he outflanked the Mamluk positions, catching them by surprise. The Janissaries' gunfire again proved devastating, and though the Mamluks fought fiercely, their resistance crumbled. Tuman Bey, refusing to flee, led a desperate last charge but was forced to retreat as Cairo fell. The fall of Cairo and the end of the Mamluks. The Ottomans entered Cairo in triumph, but the city did not surrender quietly. Tuman Bey, hiding in the outskirts, organized a guerrilla resistance, striking at Ottoman patrols. For weeks, chaos reigned until Selim, impatient with the rebellion, ordered a brutal crackdown. Suspected rebels were executed, and finally, Tuman Bey was betrayed, captured, and hanged at the gates of Cairo. With his death, the Mamluk Sultanate was no more. Selim, now the undisputed ruler of Egypt, allowed the Mamluks to remain as governors under Ottoman rule, but their days of independence were over. The treasures of Cairo, including the Abbasid Caliph al-Mutawakkil III, were taken to Istanbul, symbolizing the transfer of Islamic leadership to the Ottomans. Aftermath and legacy. The War of 1516 to 1517 marked a turning point in history. The Ottomans, now controlling the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, became the protectors of Islam's heartlands. Egypt, a jewel of the Nile, enriched the empire with its wealth and trade. The Mamluks, though they would linger as a political force under Ottoman rule, never regained their former glory. For Sultan Selim, the victory cemented his reputation as one of the greatest Ottoman conquerors. In just 2 years, he had shattered two empires, the Safavids and the Mamluks, and expanded his domains beyond imagination. When he died in 1520, his son, Suleiman the Magnificent, inherited an empire poised to dominate the world. And so, beneath the shadow of the pyramids, the era of the Mamluks ended, not with a grand last stand, but with the relentless march of progress, as the age of gunpowder swept away the old ways of war forever.